And I would say that China deserves the kind of respect that China enjoys. We're happy that China is leading the way in Asia. We're happy with the leadership of China. And we would like to establish, I know that we are friends, but I would like to go deeper in my understanding of China, understanding the people first in government, and maybe we can improve on our trade relations. And there are things which China can do to help us economically, even in the person-to-person relationship, the tourists. That's only one aspect that would give us a boost in the economy. What I see is what China has been doing to other countries, for example, Africa. It was so generous to offer to build the railways and everything. We would like to go there to make friends, but not really to ask for money, but for help. If we can have the things that you have given to other countries by way of assistance, we also would like to be a part of it, and to be a part of the greater plans of China about the whole of Asia, particularly. There's no sense in going into war. There's really no sense in going to just fighting over a body of water there. We prefer to talk. We want to talk about friendship. We want to talk about cooperation. And most of all, we want to talk about business. Chinese government, they have even built a facility which is ready for use by October 16, good to house more than 1,500. China is the only country to come out freely and a firm statement that they are supporting the fight against drugs in my country. The other countries, United States, EU, instead of helping us, they know that we are short of money, that I am a poor country. All they had to do was just to criticize. China never criticized. They help us quietly. It was not only after last week that I knew that the buildings are almost complete. And nobody knew it. And that is why it's part of the sincerity.
Would you describe this upcoming trip to China?
Well, in one word, I would say it's a defining moment of my presidency. To open frontiers of friendship and cooperation, enhancement of an old relationship between our two countries, and some dark spots in the relationships. Or better still, you might call it gray areas. So we want this totally erased, and I want to establish a more cohesive, a stronger bond between China and the Philippines. A lot of countries now, well, America is one, is for, and so with the others, allied with the West. And I said, if it causes a third world war, what would be my point in insisting on the ownership of that body of water when the world is exploding? It does not bring prosperity. So I thought, maybe I can sign a treaty somewhere, partnerships in the enhancement of the agriculture. The only hope of the Philippines economically, I'd be frank with you, is China. But I'm going there in friendship, to extend my hand in warm brotherhood, and also to ask for help. I must be frank. I must be honest enough to say,
Well, Filipino President Rodrigo Duterte is set to touch down here in Beijing in just a few hours' time, and with that comes some very serious expectations about how he will be spending his time here in Beijing. Now, we know for a fact that on Thursday he will be meeting with his counterpart, President Xi, as well as other high-ranking members of the Chinese government. There will also be a business forum where you can expect that there will likely be commercial agreements that are agreed upon between members of the Filipino business community that are traveling with President Duterte to Beijing and perhaps some of their counterparts here in China. Now, on Wednesday, that's going to happen on Thursday. On Wednesday, it's far less clear in terms of how the president is planning to spend his day here. We've heard everything about trips to a drug rehabilitation center, possibly a trip to the Great Wall. Those things have not been confirmed by either the Chinese side or the Filipino side. One thing we do know that has been confirmed, however, is that the president does plan to meet with members of the Filipino community based here in Beijing. That number is roughly 500 to 600 people, depending on whom you ask, but he is expected to meet with members of that community, much like he did in Brunei. Now, whether he will take questions from that community, this is President Duterte. He has a reputation for being a bit unpredictable, so we're not sure if he's going to take questions. But if he did take questions, I think you can imagine that one of the questions that would be asked is, what does the president plan to do in relation to speaking to China about issues surrounding the South China Sea and specifically the Scarborough Shoal? You'll remember it was just a few months ago that the International Court of Arbitration in The Hague ruled that China's occupation of the Scarborough Shoal, just about 100 miles or so off the Filipino coast, was in fact illegal. That was a position long held by administrations prior to President Duterte, that they were very forceful in saying that China's occupation there of that area was not right. Now, President Duterte himself has said he agrees with that decision, that he will stand by that decision. But in regards to whether he will bring it up or not here in China, he hasn't really committed one way or another. He says he's not opposed to bringing the issue up with President Xi, but he has also said that this issue is not worth getting in the way of the warming relations between the Philippines and China. President Duterte has said that he wants to improve relations with China. He wants to start tapping into some of that vast Chinese economic potential, and he said at least on this trip, he's not going to make any what he called hard impositions in terms of standing firm on the Scarborough Shoal. So exactly what those two leaders are going to talk about when it comes to the South China Sea remains to be seen, but that does not mean that there are not very, very high expectations for what will be President Duterte's first official state visit here to China. Matt Rivers, CNN Philippines, Beijing.
President Duterte says he wants...
Oh, oh, oh.